Guy here, and today we're in Milton, Massachusetts. Donna wrote to us to ask about the history behind this windowless small building in her hometown. Thank you so much for the idea, Donna. What mysteries hide behind the brick walls of this strange building? What secrets does it hold? It turns out none at all. The building is well documented in the annals of history. But this structure is a small piece of a fascinating story. A story that involves one of the most brutal and yet forgettable wars in U.S. history. A war that resulted in, among other things, this song. Let's travel back to 1811. It had only been 29 years since the U.S. won its independence, but Great Britain was once again entangled in a global struggle for supremacy. The United States was still picking up the pieces from its last war with the British Empire. Fighting the British, the preeminent superpower at the time, seemed reckless if not utterly insane, but the U.S. had been pushed to the brink and declared war on their former mother country. One thing was clear: both sides would shed blood. Since 1807, the British were aggressively capturing American ships and forcing U.S. sailors to serve the British war machine through the unjust practice of impressment, or the forcible taking of sailors. To be fair, Britain's enemy France had been doing the same thing, but because Britain ruled the seas, it seized many more sailors. Between 1807 and 1812, around 9,000 American sailors were taken by threat of force. Imagine how horrible this must have been for the sailors and their families. The British also secretly backed Native American tribes hostile to the U.S. by giving them weapons in an attempt to thwart westward expansion and to bog down U.S. forces. Even though he was going up against a far stronger foe, on June 18th of 1812, President James Madison made a bold move by declaring war on Great Britain. Gutsy move there, Jemmy. At the time, U.S. forces weren't all that mighty, and certainly not capable of mounting a robust attack on the Royal Army or Navy. In June 18th of 1812, the U.S. only had about 12,000 regular soldiers, most of whom weren't, particularly well trained. A few thousand Rangers, less than 500,000 militiamen, and under 100 ships of war, along with supplemental forces like privateers. Now contrast that with the nearly 250,000 British soldiers, most of whom were well trained and supplied, in an enormous naval fleet. With memories of the Revolutionary War's horrors still fresh in people's minds, towns all over the newly formed country jumped into action, mobilizing toward war. They collected weapons and stored them in easily accessible spots, making sure they had plenty of gunpowder, a critical ingredient for success in the battlefield. This crucial resource had to be kept in dry places known as powder houses. With the potential for another prolonged and bloody war, on May 6th of 1811, Milton's Committee of Selectmen authorized the building of the Powder House. The total cost was about $100, or over $2.4 million in today's money. Many towns use wooden structures to house flammable, explosive gunpowder. That may not have been the best idea around. As you'll see on our walk, Milton wisely chose brick and mortar. The structure, which is about 6.5 feet tall and 8 feet wide, sports a wooden, arched roof. Like so many other towns, Milton got ready for war by building a gunpowder house, preparing for the violence that was to come. Now let's take a closer look. For those of you who can't read the plaque, I'll read it to you. The Milton Powder House, 1811. New England's enthusiasm for the War of 1812 was limited. President Jefferson's embargo had almost ruined New England shipping. Yet, if there was to be a war, some preparation was necessary. Strengthening the militia was New England's solution. The building of the Milton Powder House was part of such preparation. For a town appropriation of $100, the powder house you see here was built on church lands at Canton Avenue and Poorhouse Lane. In it, up to the time of the disbanding of the state militia, the Milton Selectmen met every year to make cartridges for the annual militia muster. Thank you so very much for watching. If you'd like to help us make more content, please hit like and subscribe. See you on the next walk.